Maresca's Chelsea had a very unwelcome start to their Champions League season, coming up against a Bayern team experienced in the Champions League and teaching them a very professional lesson. We will be looking into how Bayern did that with the tactics in this game. So let's get into the lineups. Bayern have been good this season so far, 5/5 wins. This is their strongest lineup. Luis Diaz on the left, Kane as striker. Gnabry started well this season so far, Olise on the right. Lima and Stanisic also started as fullbacks, and they have been playing fullbacks for a while and this season as well. So Bayern did start with a very strong lineup. I will go to Chelsea's lineup and you see a very strong lineup as well, something similar to the PSG game. Neto on the left instead, Palmer on the right, Enzo at 10. Then you have James and Caicedo in midfield, Joao Pedro from 9, and you have your back 4, and Gusto starts at right back to provide overlapping runs for Palmer as Palmer cuts inside. So we start with the press and Chelsea's press at the beginning because this was part of the hallmark of the game, Chelsea's press and Bayern's build-up. So Chelsea pressed man-to-man as usual, as they do under Maresca, and Bayern tried to build up with short passes, but Bayern were very, very fluid with their build-up, their rotations. It was the middle players in the central area that moved everywhere, dragging Chelsea's players around everywhere as well. We will see that as we go on. Bayern were really fluid, and you could see that Kimmich dropped from the 6th position to drop as a halfback into the back line to support the build-up. Then you could see Pavlovic was also roaming around. At times he dropped also wide. This is to drag Chelsea's players that are marking them deep as well. You could see Enzo was dragged deep with Kimmich here to try and get Enzo out of the way and free space for someone that can receive the ball for Bayern. So you could see that Bayern was trying to just drag Chelsea all over the place. Lima and Stanisic were trying to also play inside the block. The only players that were more stationary a lot of the time was Olise and Diaz. In this press, Chelsea did do well to get the ball. Chelsea pressed well early. I think Chelsea started the game really well, so a lot of the press was very, very fresh. The players were still fresh on the night, so yeah, I think Chelsea started really well with their press. Here, Chelsea won the ball and retrieved possession. This was early in the game, so Bayern hadn't really settled into their play a lot yet. Chelsea started the game very, very strongly. Along with their strong start, Chelsea were also very good when countering or trying to attack quickly. This is what Chelsea did very well against PSG. Attacking quickly, long balls from deep, from Sanchez, from the team, trying to break the lines, and then have a 4v4 versus Bayern's backline. And Chelsea did that a number of times. This is Palmer receiving the ball and attacking, taking the ball into Bayern's box and releasing Enzo. This was a very big chance, and this should have been taken with a one-time finish, but Enzo took a touch and it was blocked. As you can see, this was a chance out of many other chances that Chelsea had to score the first goal of the night. Another chance you could see, Gusto also gave the ball to Joao Pedro, broke the line here very well. Joao Pedro went man-to-man with Tahir, and here is a counter-attack. Chelsea lead the counter-attack here, and Neto receives the ball after Enzo collects it from Joao Pedro, but this could not also materialize into a good chance as well. So Chelsea had a lot of these good moments in the first half, especially the first part of the first half, but couldn't make it count. Sanchez was also huge in Chelsea's build-up because Sanchez could not only go short like we saw against PSG, Sanchez was also influential in going long as well. There were lots of times where Sanchez got the ball in this position and a lot of our wide players, Neto, Gusto, made runs, and it was Sanchez to pick them out. Sanchez did pick them out. At times, Sanchez did not pick them out. In this example, Sanchez took the ball and released Gusto with a very well-timed pass and a very well-timed run from Gusto. Gusto got the ball in the final third, and Chelsea are already 3v3 against Bayern. Gusto releases the ball across into the box but for some reason Neto could not get a hold of the ball. This is another big chance, and Chelsea should have definitely made this count. We mentioned the importance of Sanchez, but the movement of Gusto was very important as well. We could see from last season, especially those games earlier in the season where Chelsea were playing really well and Gusto was playing in the half space. Gusto's movement was very, very important. It was also important here in this game. And Palmer made use of that a lot of the time by releasing Gusto through, and Gusto timed his runs a lot well and got through in behind. Gusto should definitely release a better cross into the box here. A lot of this happened. Another exchange between Palmer and Gusto. Palmer receives the ball, a little pauser from Palmer, and releases Gusto. Gusto gets the ball, and this is another decision-making issue. Gusto has Enzo here just to release the ball to Enzo, and Enzo has a shot on goal. And Gusto tries to use his left shot. Gusto tries to do that a lot, and it really never really comes off. But here, definitely this pass to Enzo, and it's 1-0. So although Chelsea failed to capitalize on a lot of their counters and quick attacks, they did capitalize on it once, and that was when Chelsea scored. Caicedo wriggles out of pressure after Reece James wins the ball back, and he finds his way. He dribbles out of pressure, out of a 2-man, 3-man pressure, and passes the ball to Cole Palmer. On the counter attack, you can't leave Cole Palmer in space like this, but Cole Palmer gets the ball, travels with it, does a give and go between himself and Gusto, receives the ball in the box and places it in the top corner, which Cole Palmer does. A very, very devastating counter-attack and an example of why you should not give Palmer space. Now, to focus on Bayern's build-up. Bayern, like I said, tried to rotate a lot of their players, especially those in the central areas, to drag Chelsea players because they know Chelsea press man-to-man, and that was very smart from Kompany. Then Kompany said he did his homework and he hopes his team showed that they did their homework against Chelsea, and they did, because against Chelsea used the man-to-man press, but to be able to exploit the man-to-man press, you have to drag them all over the place with rotations. That's what they did. You can see Kane drop deep as a DM to receive the ball. Tosin had to follow him early on. Tosin didn't really follow him a lot of the time later on, but Bayern dropped Kimmich into the back line to be able to drag players out of positions as well. Chelsea didn't really press fully man-to-man at times. They tried to keep that back four, or a back four, to have a +1 in the defense, so that even though Bayern breaks the press, Bayern would have the back four to deal with, basically. And Bayern did that a lot of the time. Bayern's, like in this example here, found the spearman because Chelsea didn't really mark fully man-to-man here, and this spearman has made Bayern bypass Chelsea's press. This is an example of the rotations we're talking about. Gnabry drops deep, and at the same time, Pavlovic is making that run forward, and that drags Reece James everywhere. You could see Reece James is trying to follow Pavlovic here, but now Reece James has to follow Gnabry as he drops deep. That's an example of the issues Chelsea faced when trying to defend against this fluid Bayern build-up. Bayern's press was also impressive as well. Chelsea did play out of Bayern's press a lot in the first part of the first half with long balls, with balls through the lines, but Chelsea also did not play when it mattered the most because Bayern did take advantage of it. Chelsea tried to play out of the press here. Bayern tried to go man-v-man a lot of the time and tried to block Chelsea down one side and did not allow them to go back to the other side. Here, Chelsea lose the ball, and here, Olise immediately releases Kane into the box, and this is what Bayern did well. After they won the ball, they looked for Kane immediately, that ball straight, and those balls are very dangerous because Chelsea are still open here, and the ball can easily go to Kane, and Kane can have a very big chance on goal already. Kane gets the ball and commits Caicedo into a penalty, and Caicedo, first game in the Champions League, should have definitely known better than to make some sort of tackle like that in the box. Gaining confidence from their first goal and second goal, Bayern continued the same way in the second half, And especially when you are in front and you see that the game plan is working, you just continue to execute the game plan. And that's what Bayern did, because they continue to rotate. You can see Kane here drops deep to receive the ball as well. This time, Chelsea doesn't follow. Those are the issues Chelsea face while trying to defend against this. And it's very tough because Bayern really rotates really well. And difference between Bayern and PSG is that Neuer, the original ball-playing goalkeeper, was very good with his feet in trying to take Bayern forward and give them an extra man. He plays the ball to Upamecano. Upamecano finds Boy between the lines, and Chelsea are stretched. A lot of their players are out of position and they are not really close to Bayern. Kane gets the ball, gives it back to Boy, receives the ball, and gives a cut back to Olise. Olise should have definitely scored this ball. And Bayern create another big chance. On the tactics board, let's see how this played out. A lot of the time, this is a second half illustration of what happened. Here, João Pedro and Enzo try to press, and Kim and Kimmich remain here. Pavlovic drops down here deep. Lima here is making Palmer stay on him, and Reece James is there as well. But a lot of the second half, it was very clear Chelsea were knackered. They were tired because the first half, Chelsea really did a very good job in terms of turning a lot of their attacks into quick attacks. And that did not really happen in the second half because Bayern put more control. Bayern were more measured in the way they were doing their things. They started to rotate even more, and Chelsea could not handle that. Chelsea could not track those runs, and things like this happened where Pavlovic dropped from here out wide. Kimmich could drop into the center back position here, and Upamecano could go like this. So you want Chelsea's players to then try to press them. Then Neto had to see whether he had to follow Upamecano or follow Boy. So at times, which was here for the Kane pass to Olise that he missed, Upamecano had the chance to play this ball right here in the middle of the pitch to Boy, and Boy receives the ball here. Kane from here starts to make that run. Caicedo tries to follow him. Olise starts to make the run inside. You can see Gnabry here. Gnabry and Diaz exchange positions again. Another rotation. Then took the ball here like this. Kane makes this run in behind. Boy gives him. Tosin has to follow. Then Caicedo has to cover Olise. He's a bit late. The Chelsea backline are here like this. And Olise gets the ball from Kane and he misses the chance because there's a very open space here after Olise makes the run and Sanchez makes the save. But that just shows how much rotations happened between Bayern's players, and they knew what to do. They just took Chelsea's players out of the way and created space for themselves to receive the ball, and that's what killed Chelsea in the second half. Chelsea also tried to go man-to-man against Bayern, but they did not come out fast. They are slow. Gusto is not sure whether he has to mark Gnabry or mark Lima here, and he does not do that because Lima receives the ball, passes it to Diaz, and goes for the run to receive the ball from Diaz and gets it. But where's Gusto? Gusto is meant to be following Lima here, but Gusto is ball watching, and Lima receives the ball in space. Tosin, that was on Kane before, had to release Kane and track the run of Lima. Now you could see Reece James also was with Kane here, but Reece James lost Kane again, and Kane is 1v1 against Sanchez. So Chelsea struggled to contain Bayern and their rotations in their build-up. The last goal was also scored via their press. Again, they pressed Chelsea man-to-man and very smartly, but I think Chelsea here have a 6v4 in the first phase of the build-up, but Chelsea did not take advantage of this. Chalobah receives the ball and plays it to Gusto. Gusto, you cannot take that kind of touch in the Champions League, and Gusto takes a very loose touch and he gets punished for it. The ball goes immediately to Kane like the penalty, and Kane receives the ball and releases that ball down into the bottom corner, and Bayern are 3-1 up. A simple mistake and Bayern make Chelsea pay. To just recap on the game, I would say the first half was more even in terms of performance. Chelsea started really well and they exploited Bayern's press and went long over Bayern's pressure and attacked Bayern very quickly, but could not capitalize on a lot of chances. The only one they did through that method was Cole Palmer's goal, while Bayern continued their rotational build-up play from the beginning of the match to the end. The goals that came were a lot of mistakes from Chelsea, but they capitalized where Chelsea were weak and they made them pay. With Kane's goals, a lot of them were build-up errors from Chelsea, but Bayern's press was very good from the first half to the second half. At times as well, Bayern dragged Chelsea's players all over the place and created chances, created space for themselves by using rotations. Bayern deserved their 3 points and they were very good on the night, very professional. Things that I also noticed was how slow Maresca was in trying to change the game. At the 60th minute or even before that, some of the Chelsea players were tired. Neto, Gusto, a lot of the players were very tired, even Joao Pedro, and he should be bringing on the subs much earlier because Chelsea were very tired in that second half. But I feel Chelsea will learn from this. A lot of the players, this is their first Champions League game, up to 5 players, which is a lot. The disparity between the Champions League appearances of Bayern Munich players and Chelsea players was huge. If they have this kind of game out of the way early, it helps them to know what the standards are in the next Champions League games. And that's how Bayern beats Chelsea. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. See you in the next game.